And we're on. Hello everybody, this is Gav, obviously, as you're on my page you'll see in this video, and this is a post I've been wanting to do for a while, but it just so happens it works out perfectly well, and I'll tell you what I mean by this. It's exactly 13 weeks to Christmas from today, exactly 13 weeks to Christmas, and my question to you guys is, what you're going to achieve in the last 13 weeks of the year. What goals have you set? Dave, afternoon sir. What goals have you set in this year, and have you smashed them? And the reason I mentioned today being 13 weeks is that I've got a new journal here called the Best Self Journal, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this in a minute once I get through the points I want to mention. When we're talking about goals, I've found that something that's really helped me, and for those that followed me and have heard me talk about the 5 AM club before, you will have noticed or known that I like to journal. You can see here my trusty journal, and it's been one of the best things, honestly it's been one of the best things I've ever done. The last 4 years I've been journaling every day, and it's made such a huge impact to my life across all levels, in terms of health, fitness, finance, emotional, I mentioned finances, business. It's been a really big help, and I'm really passionate about showing people what I do with my journaling. There's more than one way to skin a cat, like there is everything, but I want to talk to you today about what I've been doing the last 4 years and see if it can help you. And then I'm going to talk to you about the Best Self journal that I've just started today. So let's crack on with journaling. Who else have we got? I can see Dave's on, can't see anyone else's name, but hello to anyone who's joining. Now, many people have been journaling for years and years, and I first discovered the power of journaling about 4 years ago. I picked up an old book off the shelf called The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. Great book by an author called Robin Sharma. Some of you may have read this book, you may have heard of Robin Sharma. And this is a book that was actually written in 1997, and I was in my early 20s, back in the early to mid 90s. I read this book, and like a lot of books back then, a lot of self-help books, I thought it was a bit woo-woo, whatever. I read it, I used to read a lot and just chucked it on the shelf. And then I discovered the book about 4 years ago, pulled it off the shelf, dusted it off and reread it, and it's like something just switched on. You may have heard the phrase, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Well, it was a bit like that, really. And so I looked into this Robin Sharma a bit more on YouTube, delved into his stuff, and he talked about two things. First of all, the 5 AM club and journaling, and the two sort of go hand in hand. Although you don't have to do the 5 AM club, it's more of the philosophies behind being in the 5 AM club that is really important. But I want to look at the journaling. The two kind of go hand in hand. But what he did, what he showed me was, and not me personally, because he was speaking to millions of people across the globe with his video, but it really resonated with me. He talked about getting up early and spending that first hour, ideally between 5 and 6 AM, working on yourself and looking at the material that goes into your brain, whether it's positive, motivational, uplifting material, as opposed to watching the news, reading the newspapers. Then spending some time writing in a journal and really working on yourself and your mindset and your goals and intentions for the day, as opposed to rushing out last minute, grabbing a coffee and running into work. And I'm generalizing here, but that's what a lot of people do, and I'm not saying you do that, but I know I did. And I wasn't in a stressful job. I've never been in a stressful job. I've never actually been employed. So most of you watching this video are probably employed in potentially a job that you don't really like, in a job that doesn't pay you the money that you would want, and possibly with people that you don't want to be with. Anyway, let's look at what you would do in this golden hour, as it's called, within the 5 AM club. And like I said, getting up at 5 AM for me, I think it's been, I don't want to say a godsend because I'm not very religious, but it's been a brilliant thing. It's been massive changes in my life because of this. But what's more important, I'm not saying you have to get up at 5 a.m, but you can make it 6 a.m, it could make it 7 a.m. But what's important is spending that hour doing the techniques that I'm going to talk about, not necessarily in this order and not necessarily these things, but the philosophies behind them. Okay, so the first thing I want to look at is what you put into your brain first thing in the morning. Your subconscious is extremely powerful. We're basically running our whole lives on our subconscious. You think that you're making decisions for you, but you're pretty much running on the programs that have been set in your most formative years, which is years 1 to 7, or actually 0 to 7. So however you react to the things that are going on in the world, you can blame your environment and you can blame your parents. So if you've got a fucked up existence at the moment, you can blame your parents, but you can also thank your parents, because everything that's good in your life, you can thank them for them at that as well, and your environment. But don't blame them too much, because they're only doing the best with what they had at the time. And it's up to you to change this, but you can change that program. So my point is, are you spending time racing out the door, reading the Metro? Is that your Bible in the morning? Or magazines where they're talking about gossip and famous people? Are you reading books that aren't empowering you? So the information that goes into your brain is extremely powerful. First thing, your subconscious is very susceptible to the information you put into it first thing in the morning. So if you're reading the newspaper, look, and we know the world at times can be a pretty horrendous place. There's people dying, earthquakes, hurricanes, murders, rapes, the election, the political climate change is pretty messed up out there. We all know this. We do not need it drummed in to our head every single morning. Now some of you, I used to love reading the paper. Now some of you might be saying, but I need to know what's going on. I haven't read the paper properly for years, apart from glancing at the odd headline. And I still know what's going on, because the bad stuff will seep through. What you've got to realise is that the newspapers are not designed to inform you. They're designed to keep you hooked on bad information. And if you use that information, whether you like it or not, you think I'm a positive person, when you keep reading that of all the horrendous things that are going on in this world, it definitely affects your mindset and what potentially you could be and what this world could be, and it's going to affect your energy in a negative way. And I know this to be true. Let's flip away, let's get away from the negative. So what do you do instead of reading the newspapers, watching the news? I think you should be reading, watching or listening to motivational, positive, uplifting material. And that could be in the form of a book, it could be a podcast, it could be a YouTube video. And you want to focus, you can watch whatever you want, but you want to look at people that are inspiring to you, that resonate with what you like in your life. So the person that I like is going to be very different, or the people that I like can be very different to you watching this. And there's a million people out there doing amazing things. You could read a book about someone that's been inspiring and changed the world. So that first 20 minutes of your day, can you see that the information that you take in, if it's positive, if it's got a great outlook on life, if it's things, guys and girls that are achieving great things in this world, do you see how this could possibly change your outlook on the rest of the day, as opposed to reading the negative? Okay, so that's the first thing you want to do in that hour. This leads me on to the second part, and this is where the journaling comes in. And a lot of people say, well, I've got my journal. What do I actually write in it? Because it's a blank book. You can see I've got some pages filled in. I'm going to tell you what I put in mine. It's a blank book. It costs about £7-8, but it's potentially one of the most powerful and beneficial books that you'll ever buy once you get what you do with the journal. So what do you do in a journal? So I tell you what I write in my journal. I write the date and I write the time that I got out of bed, and then I write down what I listened to, what I watched, what I read in that first half hour. So 30 minutes on a book or 25 minutes on a podcast, and I'll maybe write down 1 or 2 things that I took from the information that I read. So that's really important, because you can have all the information in the world, everything could be in there. You could be the most intelligent person and have all the knowledge and all the skills, but unless you put it into action. So by writing a few things down, key points that you learnt, and then take action on them later on today. So that's what you want to do, the first thing. So you in positive information. Then you can go over yesterday. I write down small wins, and this is the things, 10 things. I try and find 10 things, that positive things that happened to me the day before. So that means looking at going over yesterday's day's journal, or if it's the first one you want to start on, you're going to have to start from fresh. But let's assume you've done something the day before. So it could be things like, I went to the gym, I saved £200, I had a great day, I called my mum, I was perfect with my diet. You get the idea. You put down everything that was positive in your day and put a big tick next to it. Why put the tick? Because every time you put a tick next to it, it sends a tiny message to your brain that you're a winner. This is going to sound cheesy, it's going to sound really corny to a lot of you watching this because you haven't done this. And in the beginning it was a bit tough for me, but it really, really works. And you're trying to send messages to your subconscious mind that you're a winner. So you put down 10 things that you succeeded, that went really well, and you can start the day in a much better way. So that's number one, the small wins. Then I put down my goals and intentions for the day. Now this is really your to-do list, but why don't I call it a to-do list when it really is? But I don't call it to-do. If you put to-do list, it automatically, you kind of look at it like it's a list of chores, and you don't want this list to be a list of chores. Can you see the different wording, how goals and intentions is far more empowering than a to-do list? To-do list is what you do at Sainsbury's, or when you've got DIY to do at home. But we're talking about bloody goals and intentions. This is far more powerful. So you put down your goals and intentions and highlight the three that are going to make the most impact for your day. There could be 8 things you want to achieve, but highlight the 3 things that you really, really, by the end of the day, that you have to achieve. So that's the second part. The third part, and this is sometimes the hardest part for a lot of people, and that's the gratitude. I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for, and I try and do 3 things different every day. And the fact, if you're watching this video, if you live in the UK or anywhere else in the world, if you're watching this on Facebook right now or at some point, you've got a lot to be grateful for. However shit your life might be right at this moment, there's 3.5 billion people on the planet that would love to have your shit every single day. So you need to be grateful. You need to be, just think about the level that some people are currently living their life. And that alone can make you feel very, very grateful. Your worst day, someone would swap their best day for your worst day in a hurry. So think about that next time you're in the queue for Starbucks and you're in a hurry and they fuck up your latte order. Just think about that. So I write down a few things that I'm grateful for, and that can be anything, but try and do something different every time, every single day. And I learned this from Tony Robbins, who's a big mentor of mine. When you're being grateful, you can't have hate in your brain. When you're being grateful for the things that you have, you can't be negative, you can't be bitter. It's very hard to have feelings of gratefulness and having negativity in your brain at the same time. So by actually writing down these points, again, you're trying to get these things into your subconscious brain, into your mind, which is very, very powerful. It's going to help you throughout the rest of the day. This is a thing that I do, and you might not want to do this. The fourth part is affirmations, and this can be a sentence, this can be a paragraph, this can be just a couple of words just to, what motivates you. And I won't go into detail about what I put every day. I try and change it, but just a little thing like every day I'm getting better and better. Just something along those lines, or something that means sense to you. Sometimes I don't write anything and put GSD, which means get shit done. And that means that it's sending a message to my brain, come on, pull your finger out, you need to work today. Today's going to be the day you're going to get a load of stuff done. Affirmations are really, really powerful, but they can be a bit woo-woo for some people. And overall, you can just, the fifth thing is just kind of incorporates all of those points. You can, this is all within that hour, you can really focus and plan your day ahead. Now, for most people, I would suggest that most people watching this video are not journaling. Some of you will be, and some of you will know the benefits of this. Can you imagine spending an hour on yourself every day when at the moment you're currently not? It's been shown, recent studies, that most people will spend more time planning their annual holiday than they do working on their own goals. So this way you're actually looking at your goals on a daily basis. And this is the journals I've been using. It's just been a red or a black journal, like a blank journal, for the last 5 years. And I say this not to brag, it's just I want to tell you what I've done. I've filled about 16 of these in the last 4 years. So what's that, 3-4 year? So it's roughly one every 3 or 4 months over the last 4 years. But I want to talk to you about this one. This is the Best Self journal, and I've been looking at this one, bestself.co.uk. I've been looking at this one for about 6 months. It's been popping up on Facebook. Some of you might have seen this one before, and it's a bit more expensive. This is £8-9 from WH Smith's, whatever. This one's about $30, and to be honest, the only reason I haven't bought it is because it was $30. Been a bit of a cheapskate. I was thinking, do I actually need one? And then I was at Soho Farmhouse a couple of weeks ago, and Liam, one of the chaps, he might be watching this, friend of mine in 5am Club, had bought one, and also Cindy's in the 5am Club. If you're watching this, hi Cindy, and she raves about it. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to order one. And today, this is like a bit of luck really. The journal is split into 13 weeks, so you kind of need 4 of these a year. So it's into quarters, and guess what? There's actually exactly 13 weeks from today until Christmas Day. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to start this today and actually work towards maybe in developing what I do normally and maybe taking to the next level. But I just want to talk to you a little bit of what this journal does. I definitely recommend this. I've got no affiliation with these guys, but I recommend these. I'm going to buy these for a few of my friends and family. So you might be getting one for Christmas if you're a friend, you're watching this. A few of my clients are going to get this. But the first thing that I like about this, let me turn to it. It tells you in that 13 weeks to set 3 main goals, 1, 2 and 3, and then it tells you how to break them down. And then it's got a daily planner, and it's got little bits like today. Let's have a look. Go to page 1. Okay, so it's got, first of all, it's got the 3 things what you're grateful for. So it's very similar to what I do. Then it's got your main goal to focus on today, and then today's targets, which is a bit like I said, goals and intentions. And at the end of the day, it's got lessons learned, 3 things that you've learned from the day. And then the wins, it's a bit like I'm doing the small wins philosophy. And then it's also got 3 things I'm grateful for tonight. So it's got a grateful section at the morning, and it's got a grateful section in the evening. I've set some pretty lofty goals. There's a lot more than 3, but there's 3 that I'm focusing on right now, between now and I'm actually giving myself till the 1st of January, so it's a bit more than 13 weeks. But I just thought it was interesting that it was 13 weeks until Christmas Day. Obviously it's the next big celebration most of us have got before the end of the year. That's all I wanted to talk to you about today, guys. All the success, I mean, it's all relative. Obviously I've got my eyes on far bigger targets, but this year has been a very good year for me. In fact, it's probably been one of my most successful years on all levels, and a big part of that has been down to this journaling and many other things. But I really believe that journaling and working on yourself and personal development has been a big step in achieving what I've achieved. This is just the first step. I've got a lot more things to achieve in the years ahead. So I just wanted to say that to you guys. If you've not journaled, try this one, or my recommendation is the Best Self. I think it's bestself.co. I think it's .co. Check it out. That's my recommendation, and let's see if any of you got some big goals you want to smash them before the end of the year. That's all I've got to say. Gav from 80/20 Lifestyle. I'll be back with some more stuff like this very soon. Take care. Bye.